Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. Alina Habba.
Bless you.
Thank you.
It just made him giggle.
So she's talking about the Georgia case, and she said, we all know we only have one RICO situation, and that's what's happening with the Merrick Garland Biden administration.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Exactly. Yes.
I feel like now they've made Fonnie Willis mad. Now she apparently is going full steam ahead. And
Wait, that wasn't before from her? Wasn't mad?
yes, exactly.
Wow. Okay. No, that woman has passion. I respect the hell out of it. Like, and the thing is, like, yeah, look, they've come for her personally now.
Yeah.
They didn't succeed in toppling her. I don't believe, although who knows, I do. Look, it's possible that this sort of gobbled up Judge McAfee's attention enough that it did slow things down a bit. But I do believe that a lot of why this case is slow has nothing to do with the counterattacks on Willis. It has to do with how many defendants we have, how many counts there are. It's just a bigger case. Now, this is another one where walls closing in is going to create pressure that will result in things shooting out in different directions. Watch for more people to flip as we get closer to the trial date. I actually do believe there's a good chance that at some point here, and also, by the way, when Willis says, I'm not going to give a plea deal to Rudy, I think that's a tactic. I don't think that, I think that if Rudy hands himself over, she's not going to say no. She'll take it.
Okay.
So I believe that some of these people are going to be much more likely to flip the closer we get to a trial date.
Before you go, what do we do about a problem like Judge Cannon? So I have three headlines. Trump tells Judge Cannon he's got scheduling conflicts now. Judge Cannon has a new way to hobble Mar-a-Lago documents case, according to ex-prosecutor. However, here's the hopeful one. Judge Cannon has given Jack Smith a fresh opening to seek her removal from the Trump case, according to another. What are the chances of her removal? Because it seems like she's not a very good judge, but she's smart enough to have skirted real reasons to be able to have her removed, right?
Yeah, at the very best, she is in over her head because this is a case with national security implications, and it's just not something that she's been trained in and versed in. The way that judges in D.C., because they handle these kind of issues all the time, they know how to handle these kind of cases when they pop up. There's plenty of judges in both the southern and eastern districts in New York and Manhattan and Brooklyn who know how to deal with like a terrorism case or some sort of counterintelligence case. It's just not something that comes up in a lot of other localities as much. That's the best case scenario for Cannon. Worst case is she's deliberately trying to delay this thing. I think it's very, very difficult to get a judge forcibly recused from a matter. I don't want to get people's hopes up that that's going to happen. I think the more likely upside scenario is that there are more appeals to the 11th Circuit that then kind of box her in a little bit. And then and then the word really comes down from them that it's like, look, we have to remember, it's not just the defendant's interest in a speedy trial. The public has an interest in a speedy trial. There's a constitutional right in the public. And we, the people, need to be respected hopefully that's what happens.
That's what Liz Cheney just said as well. So, Tristan, Supreme Court, when would we get the immunity ruling, do you think?
I hate to say it. I don't know that we're going to get it until the end of the term. I think it's going to be at the end of June. I hate to say it, but we'll see.
All right.
Maybe we'll get it within about 3 weeks of that oral argument date, so it would be by like the middle of May. The good news is that DOJ has said, and we have to remember, this was the best piece of news we've gotten in any of these cases in the last month, is that the 60-day rule doesn't apply when someone's been indicted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the Trump trials in the federal side can continue into September and October, which gives us more days to play with.
Gone through yet another weekend of just, I don't know, numbing ourselves to Donald Trump's constant incitements of violence and nothing happening. Yeah. I mean, your thoughts on this latest, what amounts to a death threat to the sitting president?
Yeah, I mean, it's at some point there has to be a line and there have to be consequences. I mean, this is the sort of activity that this is not, once you do something like this and once you condone something like this, you're not that's not speech. That's actually an incitement to violence, and that is the sort of thing that, like I said online, in normal times, this wouldn't even be a question. It would be like, if you're propagating imagery of the president of the United States being kidnapped, you would be reported to the FBI and the Secret Service.
Can I just ask it
There's
plainly?
no question.
Where is
There's
the
no
FBI?
question.
Where is the FBI? Where is the Secret Service? I mean,
I think they're so afraid of looking political but the problem is that by not doing that, they are putting President Biden at risk.
Yeah.
And they're allowing this virus and this cancer to continue to propagate in certain dark but increasingly visible circles in America. It's really a problem.
I read Judge Luttig's tweet, which I'm sure you saw this weekend too, Tristan. And this, I was saying, not, again, to engage in hyperbole, I literally opened the show this morning by saying it's starting to feel Hitler-y. Like our country seems frozen, Tristan, about what to do about this lunatic. As Judge Luttig said, our judicial system, our everything. It's not even just one person. It's like what?
Right.
I mean, obviously, this for this to happen to this degree and him to get away with this lifetime of stuff, it's a lot of people that seem to be afraid.
Yeah. I think they're afraid of standing up to him. I do. I think they're afraid of, and I think they're afraid of his supporters. I think they're afraid of looking too political. They're afraid of exhibiting any bias against him at all. But by leaning so hard to try to not be biased against him, they're being biased for him.
And
that's the problem.
And
that's the problem the mainstream media has. That's the problem that a lot of law enforcement and judges have. But that's the thing. They're so afraid of we don't want to look like we're against him. They effectively end up being for him.
Yeah.
And so he has all of these people in these positions of power in the establishment that are really for him. They're backing him every day because they're afraid to look like they're against it.
And thank you for pointing out the misogyny. You said Trump targets women when he counterattacks. Fani Willis, Letitia James, E. Jean Carroll, Robbie Kaplan, Judge Chutkan, Judge Engoron's law clerk, Judge Merchan's daughter. Misogyny is always one of his weapons of choice, and women will be the ones to take him down. I do believe that. I thought, isn't that true?
Yeah.
The first real consequences he's ever seen come courtesy of E. Jean Carroll, Robbie Kaplan, and now Letitia James, right?
Yeah. Yep, that's right. So look, and you can go back even further to, when we did the Trump University case, all of my chiefs that I reported to, we were the ones really working on the case. It was my bureau chief, Jane Azia, and it was my deputy bureau chief, Laura Levine, and it was my division chief, their boss, Carla Sanchez. They're the ones who made that case go, not Eric Schneider.
Yeah.
It was my boss's insistence that was not going to be a case that got dropped or swept under the rug that finally allowed that case to go forward. So you can go back even further. But at some point here, there have to be consequences. At some point, you played that quote. At some point, it's got to be, bring your toothbrush. You're headed to Rikers.
Yeah.
Anybody else who threatened a judge's daughter would already have spent the weekend at Rikers.
Thank you.
Literally anybody else.
But we have to stop saying that and do it. That's what I'm so tired of saying. Anyone else, you or I.
We actually have to do it.
I mean,
I know that Judge Merchan maybe didn't want to be the one to do it because it was, and this was very calculated by Trump. He comes at the person and their family so that if they do anything, he can say, "Oh, he's just being biased." And it's like, no, what should be happening here is the chief judge that Merchan reports to should be the one stepping in and saying, that's it. I'm issuing an order. Trump, you're going.
Yeah.
You threatened the judge's daughter. You cannot do that.
Yeah.
Look, if you want to come on a little bit lighter at first, then you fine, and that fine better have at least six figures in it. That needs to be $100,000. Start, and that's your warning. That's all you get.
Yeah.
If it were me, be $100,000 for the first thing. Next thing is it's $1 million plus you're spending the night at Rikers.
Yeah. Speaking of women, you're
That's
right.
it.
I shouldn't read Twitter on April Fool's Day because someone's like, Merrick Garland has stepped down and Sally Yates is the new AG. Sorry, my dogs are alarmed.
Yeah, no, and the dogs are like, Sally Yates, yay!
Sally Yates.
Yay!
Barking.
I was like, oh, April Fool.
They're all barking.
You retweeted Donald Trump, which must have made a little part of your soul die. So thank you. You said he tweeted the corrupt New York DA Letitia Peekaboo James can try to take my property with this rigged witch hunt, but they won't succeed. I've done a transfer of property, which means it's not in my name, so they can take it. So they can't take it to cover any bills they want Donald Trump to pay. I win. MAGA. You just said she's not the DA, she's the AG. Try reading a book or a newspaper sometimes. Your use of peekaboo is like George Allen's use of macaca. It's clearly a racial slur, even if it's an idiosyncratic one. 3, moving assets around violates the court's order. I mean, plus it's like he's 8. I win, mega.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. Well, so that one I actually don't even know. I actually took that down because it was unclear whether or not it was really his tweet.
Oh, okay.
Or his post. But you know what? It still ends up all being true.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I will stand by that. His use of peekaboo with Tish James,
please.
It's racist even if we can't really find it in like a racist dictionary. Just like macaca, this now dates me, but like Senator George Allen had to resign back when politicians could still have shame.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Republican Senator George Allen resigned because he called somebody a macaca.
Yeah, I
and
remember.
you couldn't really go look it up in the dictionary to figure it out, although some people were trying to kind of like draw the line between what that was. But it was very obviously meant to be a racial slur, even if it was his own idiosyncratic one. And we really need to be treating Trump's peekaboo thing the same way.
So, Tristan, we were saying that, we're all like, what last minute thing is he going to pull now? I mean, we were talking about Jonathan Alser saying there are no appeals. This thing is happening, April 15th. What is your take on that?
Look, you can always file another motion. Like the thing about motion practice is you can pretty much always file another motion. Now, past a certain point, the judge does not have to entertain them. But I do believe that we're probably going to see a flurry of other motions get filed. He'll probably file some sort of emergency motion to some other higher court to get them to stop the trial. I think that as the walls start to close in on him more here, he's going to get more and more. He's going to get more and more desperate. I do see that,
and we would be able
2 weeks to go, and
we would be able to tell from the 77 tweets yesterday that it has gotten it's gotten worse.
I mean, he's literally he's basically just having a meltdown live in front of all of us. That's what he's been doing, and it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Is there a deadline for the bond payment? Someone tweeted in the New York fraud case. They said, when in my life did I ever think I need a spreadsheet to track the criminal prosecution of a former president?
I do need a spreadsheet. I need to figure this out. Let's see. Can we figure this out? When was that 7-day order thing? I was on TV that day.
Right.
That day was, I'd have to go back and look. Was it Monday?
It was Monday.
Put it this way. I think it was Monday. So it's today. So that he has till today, or I guess maybe it's possibly tomorrow. But that 175 million, where is it?
Yeah.
He's not going to come up with that either. Like, where is it? He's not going to come up with it.
And why did he get that big reduction? Like, none of us lay people understand how.
So look, I do believe, unfortunately, it showed that the appeals court, they kind of tipped their hand a little bit, where it showed that it is possible, and it often happens, that a large award will get squished down by an appeals court. Now, as I tried to reassure everybody then, and I will do again now, it doesn't mean it's going to get eliminated in all likelihood. And it usually don't see it get crushed by like 90%. It's not like all of a sudden that 464 is going to end up being down at like 40 million. However, to see it get dropped by 20 to 50%, possibly more, is not that unusual. I was kind of thinking we would end up down around 200 million after the appeals courts had their hand in there. And 175 is a little lower than I would want, but I do think that something around 200 million is where this is going to end up. That's still a catastrophic number for him. It should be higher because the calculation came from someplace. We just have to remember, every dollar he's being asked to repay now is a dollar he shouldn't have gotten from the banks in the first place.
Thank you.
He lied to get them.
He
lied to get those dollars, and now he has to pay them back. But why can't he? Because he spent them on his overly lavish lifestyle. Donald Trump lives beyond his means. He always has.